What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. Hey, we're going to do the little face cam thing here. Oh, by the way, I couldn't get my contacts in because I had to wake up really early in the morning. So you're going to have to deal with my glasses, and I'm sorry if it's very glary. But anyway, that way you get to see my smiling face. Anyway, welcome to another video on the Alexa. Yes, it is the long-awaited video on how to get a custom skill to work with Alexa and your gpio on your Raspberry Pi. So now there are probably 100 billion ways of doing this. This was just a way that seemed fairly simple and not too complicated, but still complicated nonetheless. It took me a while to figure this out in this method. Now, any of you have any shorter and quicker methods, please put that in the comments. I would love to hear that. I love the KISS principle, so keep it simple, stupid, right? So if the KISS principle I have not satisfied today or tonight or whenever you are watching this video, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to try different ways of doing this because I guarantee there's more than just this one. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, since we're dealing with an Alexa skill, I will probably break this into two videos because these are going to be massively long. So what we're going to look at today is building the Alexa skill and how to set that up in your configuration.yaml, or like I like to call it, the YAML file. So we're going to look at those two things in this video, and then we will continue our journey into building this all in the next video. Now, to let you know, I have built the whole thing where I can talk to Alexa and she does exactly what I want her to do. So with that, I'm going to try not to leave anything out. So know that those videos will be coming fairly quickly. It may take 2 more videos after this one. Maybe, I'm hoping just 1, but we'll see. So first thing you need to do is create a developer account. This is going to be at developer.amazon.com. Okay, so create a developer account. If you already have an Amazon account, it should be fairly straightforward. It just kind of like enables it. It is free, so to have a developer account. So you just sign in, fill out some forms, and voila, you have a developer account. Now, once you get your developer account, and I believe if you've done the, which I hope you have, if you're watching this video, please go watch, if you haven't watched it yet, the video on how to set up an Alexa system on the Raspberry Pi, because you basically will do this whole developer portal stuff and everything and set it all up. And you will need this for this video. So this video has a prerequisite. All right, as well as the HomeAssistant video. If you have not seen that yet, you need to watch that too, because we will be heavily using HomeAssistant. You probably, like I said, YAML there, you probably don't even know what that is. So anyway, watch those 2 videos first before watching this one. All right, so here we go. So you're going to click on the Alexa button, all right? And then obviously we're going to add skills. So Alexa skills, you're going to hit get started. Now, since I have been working on this, I have already created my Alexa skill. So what we're going to do is we're just going to walk through it. It'll be pretty much the exact same, except the only difference is you will click on add new skill up here at the top. Hopefully my video is not in the way. If it is, I will scoot it out of the way and show you that. So if I scoot it out of the way, you see it now, but there's that add Alexa skill button. Okay, so you click that and it'll basically take you to this edit screen. Basically, you will get skill information will be the very first thing, except all of this will be blank. Now I'm blurring out my application ID just because, I don't know, to protect the innocent or not so innocent or wicked, or I don't know. Anyway, I've just heard that it's good to blur it out. Anyway, so I'm going to do that. What you want to do is the first thing you'll do is you'll name it, which I've named it HomeAssistant. Now, this doesn't have to be the name, the invocation name, which is the name that you'll say to Alexa. It just is the name of your skill. Because what we're basically doing is you're basically developing a custom skill to actually be deployed to the skills library from Amazon. Now, if you're like me and you're just wanting to play around with this, you're not actually wanting to deploy a full-blown tested and built skill that you can actually potentially make money on if you deploy it correctly and everything, and have it tested and vetted and explained and documented and all that jazz. If you're just wanting to play around with this, you just don't submit this, okay? That was something I had to figure out, because earlier, remember I said you had to watch that video about how to configure the Raspberry Pi? When you configure the Raspberry Pi, at least if you do it to the method that I did in my video on the Raspberry Pi or AlexaPi video that I did, you will create it as a development system. So the minute you link that Raspberry Pi Alexa so-called system to your developer account, it automatically is able to accept these skills. Any custom skills that you build here without submitting them will actually be accessible to your and yours only Raspberry Pi that you have registered as a development Alexa. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. But basically, if you're wanting to put this on Alexas in your friends' houses and everywhere and all over the place, then you're going to have to actually deploy this to the Mart, or you're going to have to deassign your Alexa, or have them deassign their Alexas from their Amazon account and assign them to your Amazon developer account in order to get it to work, okay? Which could be an ordeal. So, anyway, so you name your deal, and then the very next one is the invocation name. So this is what you will say to Alexa. So you'll say things like ask and then this name, to do yada yada yada, or report on Alexa, or run and then this name, or whatever, just different utterances you could add to it. But this is the invocation name, so that way Alexa knows you're talking about this skill. Okay, and then global fields, audio player. No, I'm not attaching an audio player to it. Next. Okay, so now the next is going to be the intent schema, and all this code and stuff will be available. I'll put it on my site and add a link to it down in the old doobly-doo, and so that way you can download all of these things, as well as I'll put links to the places, the sites and stuff that I got these from. A lot of these are standard, but some of them I've customized, so I'll put mine, and the links will be in the description for the configuration software. HomeAssistant has some awesome documentation. Hats off to you guys at HomeAssistant that did that. It has great documentation. I think that was the reason that I found it the easier thing so far, what to do, is because it has such awesome documentation. So first thing you need to do, and this is all done in that JSON or JavaScript or whatever format. So it's that JSON format. So you got your intents. Then you've got your intent. We're going to call it the activate scene intent, okay? Because in the Home Assistant, you're going to create what's called a scene to run the specific commands, and we'll get to that here in a minute. But so we just named it active scene intent. This is going to be we're going to be using a slot, which is part of the Alexa thing, which down here, that's what this custom slots is. We'll get to that in a minute. But we're going to use a slot. Okay, and then to basically configure the utterances, the other types of utterances and things, and different variations that you can do, and we'll see that here in a minute. And then we're going to name it scene, is what we're going to name basically the variable, and then type is going to be scenes, is going to be this type. And this basically, the reason we're saying scene and scenes has nothing to do with Alexa. It just ties it back to the Home Assistant, because a scene is a Home Assistant thing, and we'll see that here in a minute. But this is basically the code that you're going to write. Okay, then down here you got these custom slot types. You'll hit add slot type because you won't have this to start with. You'll hit add custom slot type, and it'll basically just give you a page like this. What you're going to do is you're going to type the same variable that you have up here is what you're going to use as the type of slot, okay? Because that's what we're doing up here. We're calling a slot, we're calling it by name, and it's type. So this is the name of the slot's going to be the scene, and this is the type scenes, so that's how we're going to hook those together. So now what I've got in here, I've got some testing stuff in here, but the main one that I want to do is I wanted to say test light on, and this is going to be, except for the on, this is going to be the name, okay? This test light on is going to be the name of the scene in the Home Assistant that you want to activate. Okay, so test light on is a scene, which I guess it's a scene kind of like a script, I guess, in a way. It's sort of like some type of a script type situation that Home Assistant does. This is all done in JSON. So anyway, you'll see once we get to the Home Assistant side. What you will do is, this is the name, okay, of your scene that you're wanting to activate, and this one basically turns the LED that's on a certain GPIO pin on, And then when it receives this test light off, it will turn it off. Okay, pretty simple. But these are the names of your scenes, which hence why we're labeling everything scenes. Okay, these are the names of your scenes, just to avoid confusion. So that's what you'll put in here. Now these two I haven't created. That was just me testing stuff. So ignore that. Anyway, but these are the two that I definitely are using. So now as we go on down, we can have utterances. Okay, so utterances, no, it's not the bottom of a cow. That's different. Okay, stay with me here. Okay, utterances is an utterable sound. Okay, so what we're doing is we're saying in this utterance, we're going to say activate scene intent. Okay, so basically if you say ask Alexa, or you say Alexa, she does that boom thing, you're going to say ask or display or whatever. I do ask. You can say Alexa ask and then activate scene intent. So you're going to say you're going to say the name of your device. So I name mine HomeAssistant. So you're going to say ask Alexa. You're going to say Alexa, ask HomeAssistant to, and then it's going to be this utterance. And this utterance is this word right here. Okay. So you could say activate, and then it's going to be the scene. Okay. The scene variable. So whatever scene that's up here. So I'm going to say Alexa, and then she's going to, respond. And I'm going to say ask HomeAssistant to activate, okay, if you're watching the screen, activate test light on. Okay, that's the scene that I just said. And she will piece it together. Okay, she figures out that, okay, you're wanting activate, that's an utterance, I recognize that. Now I'm going to look for the next word that you say to be a scene type in here somewhere. And if I say test light on, then she's basically going to put this together and send it to my Raspberry Pi that I'm using as a HomeAssistant Pi. I'm actually using two Raspberry Pis. One I'm using for the Alexa, and the other one I'm using for the HomeAssistant. Now, the next question that I know you all are going to ask the minute I just said that is, can you combine them and use just one Pi for it? I believe you can, because Alexa is running in one basically piece of software, and the other one is a completely separate piece of software. It's kind of a web hosting thing. So I believe that you can. Now, I have not tried it, so that'll probably be in later videos. I will do that. So I promise that will come. I will try to combine them. It was just easier for now for testing to do it on two separate Pis right now. But I promise, I will do a video where I do this whole thing onto one Raspberry Pi. So that way you're not using two different ones. But I believe it should work just fine. If you just follow the installation procedures in my previous two videos on this matter, you should be fine. So that's how this is going to work. Okay, so that's how you set up your intent schema and your interaction model is just like this. I'm going to click next here. Now, the next thing I'm going to blur this out to is you're going to have to create a lambda function of some sort, or if you don't want to do that, you can go ahead and create and host an HTTPS server. You can host that through the HomeAssistant will do that. However, you run into the problem of self-signed keys and validation and all this other stuff, and it starts to turn into a mess. And I had a mess to start with. Now that I've figured it out, I had other errors too. So I'm going to go back to that, and I may create a later video on how to host it yourself, okay, using HTTPS and using self-signed SSL keys and all that jazz. But I figured this is going to be complicated enough without adding that. So we're going to look at the lambda function here in just a minute, which is a free tool that Amazon allows you to use. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to switch gears though really quick, and I'm going to pull up my HomeAssistant Raspberry Pi because I want to go over that other stuff. I think I may be getting ahead of myself going into the lambda function. Let's still stick to this, and I'll show you how it links up. So bringing up the good old Raspberry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my home directory, HomeAssistant, HomeAssistant's directory, and the HomeAssistant install directory. So I can get to my configuration.yaml file. I like saying YAML. If it's wrong, I don't care. So we're going to VI that. Well, we'll sudo VI that. Oh my heavens, my speakers are on. You don't want to hear Windows barking at me deleting things. So sudo vi, I like vi improved. Told you that before. You just have to install it. So if you wonder if the command vim doesn't work for you, just use vi. But you can say do the sudo apt-get install vim, and it'll install this tool. I just like vi improved because it has a lot more functionality and things that you can configure. So that's why I use vim. But you can use vi. Does the same thing, more or less. So at least for all intents and purposes for configuring this, it does the same thing. So fire this up. And inside here is where it starts to get hairy. So before I go to the scenes, I want to point you to the Alexa side of the universe. Okay, so again, JSON format. So what we have is we have Alexa. Well, I don't know if it's really JSON format because it doesn't have all the parentheses. Where I don't know. It's its own format that's JSON-ish. Yeah. Anyway, so Alexa. And then we have intents. Okay, here's our active scene intent. Okay, you see how that's the same up here. Well, you know, this is probably way too. I'm sorry, guys. I just now noticed this is probably way too small for you guys. I apologize for that. If you guys have been cussing me out so far because it's been so small, I formally apologize. I just noticed that's kind of hard to see. Okay, so there we go. So here's where, because now that I have this in front of me and it's so much bigger, I was like, oh. So sorry, guys. Anyway, hopefully you can see it now. Can you see it now? Yes. Anyway, so we've got active scene intent. Okay, see how these match? Okay, those need to match. Okay, so then we go down here to action, and then service, we're going to say scene.turn-on. Now, this scene name is the name of our scene that's down below. Okay, so let me see if I can, I can't use the scroll wheel. I have to actually do it with the keyboard. Okay, so I'm saying scene.turn-on. Okay, so it's telling the Home Assistant that there's a scene out here, okay, that it's going to need to activate, okay? And like I said, I will get to that in a minute. I'll scroll down to it and show you what I'm talking about. The scene is kind of the setup of how it's supposed to operate. So we're using the scene.turn-on command. And now under here, we're going to say data template because Home Assistant does not like spaces, okay? So remember down here, let me flip back over to here. Okay. Edit this. Okay, see how this is test and then there's a space, light, space, on, okay? Because Alexa, she does things phonetically. If you put underscores in there, it's going to come out all weird. It'll be like Tesla on. She's going to say it. She's going to expect you to ram all of that together or something strange or something. So you definitely want the spaces so that you can say test, light, on, with the breaths in between so that she knows that those are three different words. It's not all one giant word and it gets weird. So you need to have spaces. Well, the only problem is Home Assistant doesn't like spaces. Well, this is how you fix that. Is under here you do a data template. You say whatever scene it is that we're working with, dot, and then you say I'm going to take the scene, whatever it is, whatever word it has been passed, this phrase, because under here we're saying scene, that's this whole phrase. Okay, that's right here. It's going to pass that in, and it's going to say, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the spaces. Okay, see the space here? And, oops, I'm using the replace command. It's going to replace any spaces with underscores. Simple. See? Haha, we can correct it. So, whatever the Alexa system gives us, we'll just replace it with, take whatever scene it gives us and replace the spaces with underscores. Simple enough, right? Then under here, the next one is speech, okay? Or I don't want to show scene yet. Under here is speech. Speech is basically what Alexa is going to say back, okay? So what do you want Alexa to say back to you when it's done? You can get really creative with this if you want to. And there's some testing tools I'll show you probably in a later video. There's some testing tools that you can use to see how Alexa will pronounce certain things. So if you type some really complicated word or some complicated phrase, she may not get it perfectly. You can test it to see how she'll say it. So, but that's basically right here. You just want to do it in plain text and then literally anything you type right here on this text header thing. If you just type in whatever it is, she will literally say it. So like me, I put this in so that I'll say, Alexa, ask Home Assistant to activate test light on. And she'll go, okay, activated once it's done. You can have fun with this. You really can. You can have her tell you no. right? Okay, so enough fooling around. All right, so now we get to the scene definition, okay? So we haven't gotten to the GPIO stuff yet. We will get there. The scene definition, like I said, this is basically what defines what HomeAssistant does once it receives the scene name. So test lights on. Once it gets that, what does it do with it? Like how does it, what does that mean? So what I'm going to do is in a scene, you create, okay, the name, test light on. Okay, see, it's the same. See the resemblance? It's the same thing, except it has underscores in it. Remember, that's why we have this replace command, is we're replacing it with underscores. Okay, so test light on. Then entities, what I want to do is I have a switch definition that's a Raspberry Pi GPIO definition. Okay, and I'm saying switch dot test LED1. That's the name. I named my GPIO port. Okay, and I'll show you that here in literally just 1 second. And I'm saying turn that on. So set that to a 1. Easy enough. Same thing with test light off. I'm going to take same LED, okay, same LED, same switch command, and then I'm just going to say off. Basically set that as a 0. And I have some other test commands. Okay? Easy enough. Now, if you watched my other video, you'll see how to set up HomeAssistant to control the GPIO, and that's the switch command, okay? So platform, GPIO, whatever, ports. Okay, now this is literally like if you were to look up a pin layout diagram for the Raspberry Pi, it's the real pin. You know, whereas there was that other one when I showed how to code in C, there was that wiring pi, and it basically remaps them to different numbering. Don't do that here. This is the actual port number. So whatever it is on the header, if it's GPIO 11, the port number is 11. Okay, so you've got 11, and I just named it test LED 1. 12 is test LED 2. Okay, you name those here and then see how it corresponds. Test it switch, which switch is here. I'm going to highlight this stuff. Switch is the header. Okay, so I'm using the switch because you could have other, other things under here. So I have switch. Okay, so I'm calling switch dot test LED. Okay, it's almost like a class. It's like a class function basically. Dot test LED 1. Okay, test LED 1. So that way I'm getting GPIO pin 11, and I'm turning that on or I'm turning it off depending on which basically scene I'm calling through Alexa. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. All right? So this is the stuff you need to add to your YAML file. You'll need to add this Alexa part, and then you'll need to add the scene part set up in accordance with whichever GPIOs. And you can add more. I could add, as many, all the GPIO ports as I want to. Add all those. Now, I don't know about doing the PWM stuff and whatnot. I believe you can. You'll just have to look up in the, like if you wanted to dim lights, maybe you can do that. And the links are in the description for how to set up scenes, stuff like that. And it has a scene for how to set up like RGB LEDs and tell them what to do. And I think you can couple that to the GPIO as well. And then you can use the like PWM that's in there and stuff like that. So it's all in those links. Like I said, the HomeAssistant has great documentation. So that's what you need to do to set up your YAML file. And then, of course, you'll test it and reload and restart the HomeAssistant software. And once you do that, you should get a HomeAssistant screen that looks like this, okay, or at least similar to this. Yes, I forgot to comment that out, so I've got a bedroom media player thing. Anyway, so basically you'll see your two LED switches here, okay? You'll see your two LED switches here because you define the GPIO, okay? But then you also see your scenes, okay? And so if I manually go in here and I say I want to activate the light on, I click activate. Well, I click activate. There we go. Maybe I didn't click it fast enough or something. Then it'll turn the LED on. See how that works? And then I off and it turns it off, okay? So it's basically kind of a multi-stage thing. You got to set up the actual GPIO to be controlled by HomeAssistant. Then you have to set up a scene that has the same name that you're going to call out through your Alexa, because what it does is it literally basically pushes these activate buttons. When you say activate, it literally does. That's what it does. It pushes these. So you can do that. All right. So that's how we're going to set up the Amazon service here. So once you've set that all up, you'll move on. I'm going to back up a little bit. You'll move on to the configuration side. And that's where it starts to get a little bit hairy with the lambda function. And we are already, guys, at 24 minutes. I think that's probably enough for this first video because I'm already 20 some minutes in. So I think that'll do it for this first piece. So this is how to set up your custom skill, okay, and link it up with the Home Assistant by setting up your Home Assistant's YAML file. So if you set up both of those, you should be well on your way. Look for the next video because I will be releasing them pretty regularly in succession, you know, as I get them filmed and edited, basically. So I will be releasing those films. So it shouldn't take very long because it's nothing I have to figure out. Sometimes the reason that it takes a while between sessions of videos is maybe it's the next piece I haven't figured it out yet. So this thing, nope, guys, I took the time and I have plowed forth, so I'll be able to release these videos fairly quickly, hopefully every other day or something like that, you know, as long as, you know, I can get them edited and whatnot properly. So guys, thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Check me out on Twitter and Instructables. This is definitely going to be going on Instructables once I get all the YouTube videos finished, because I like to have the video in with the instructions. So check it out there. Click the links down below. Read the documentation for Home Assistant. It's actually very easy to follow. They give you tons of examples. So anyway, check that out. Check out my t-shirts. Support the channel. Check out ICStation. I've got an affiliate link down below that helps anything you buy there. It basically comes back to me in a way so I can buy more stuff to keep giving to you. So it's kind of like a giant circle, you know. I give to you, you give to me, so I can give back to you. And the cycle continues. All right. So check that out. Click down there. They got some really awesome stuff for really good prices. Takes a little bit to get it, but the price is worth it. So check out ICStation affiliate link down there below. Helps the channel, as well as liking. Give me thumbs up if you like, or thumbs down if you please. Either way. And please comment. Like I said, if you know a quicker and simpler way, I'm all open for suggestion. I love the KISS principle. Guys, take care, and we will see you next time.